Okay. Good afternoon to everybody. Hope that I can hear you. So last week we were discussing about budgeting, and we complete budgeting plus the what do you call this group accounts. We were able to complete that, but there was a request to to discuss the one or two past papers. What I have, what I what I'm going to do is now really I am going to take 2017-18 paper. Do you have it? 2017-18? Of course, I know that you were given the past papers. If you can get those 2017-18 past paper, it's easy for me to continue. We will take 20-25 minutes and just look at the first question of 2017 and 18. If you have any problem with regard to past paper availability, just put me a message. Okay, then I will take the 2017-18 past paper. Can I get a feedback from you? Hello? Do you have the paper? Hope that you will have the paper. Okay. So as per the question number 1, I'm just focusing on the question number 1. Amal PLC acquired 80% of equity share capital of Gamma Limited on 1st April 2014. The statements of financial position of these two companies as at 31st March 2018 are given below. Further, 1st April 2014, Gamma Limited had a retained earning balance of 10 million and general reserve of 5 million. Issued share capital has not been changed since the acquired date of Gamma. So, just to have a diagram timeline, we are here 2018 March 31st, but acquisition is taken place on 1st April 2014. Few data is given, stated capital is given. That is stated capital, it says that has not been changed. So thereby it's 100 stated capital as at acquisition date. But as at acquisition date, return earning is 10 million and general reserve is 5 million. Altogether, 115 is the we call it net assets at the acquisition date. As you know, at the acquisition date, the price paid is price paid by Gamma Limited to the Amal Limited by price paid by Amal Limited to Gamma is 100 rupees. That is price 100. But remember, it is not for 100%, it is for 80% equity. So thereby, what you do is this 100 we divide by 80 and multiply it by 100 to get the full price. So I think it's more 25. So thereby it's 125. what we did was the 100 rupees or 100 million just divided by 80% because we are going to acquire 80% equity, and to get the full percentage multiplied by 100. So answer is 125. So 125 is the purchase consideration to get the net assets, and the total net assets as per section 115. So thereby goodwill would be the difference between these two. Goodwill is 10 rupees, 10 million. I think that's how you calculate the goodwill. Goodwill is the difference between price paid and also net assets acquired as at acquisition date. Acquisition date is important. Acquisition date is important.
So excuse me.
Sorry?
Board is not clear.
Board is not clear. Board is clear. I will explain again. Now we are here, that is 2018 April 1st, and acquisition date is 2014 really April. This is 31st March 2018. This is acquisition date 2014 April 1st. So at the acquisition days, as per the question, it says stated capital of Gamma Limited 100, retained capital not 20 million, it has to be 10 million because it's given in the additional information, the top para, first para. So thereby I took 10 million, and also they said that general reserve at that time was, acquisition date was 5 million. So thereby altogether total of these three, stated capital, retained earning and general reserve, altogether 115. And if you look at the question, investment in Gamma Limited is 100 rupees, which is appeared in the Amal balance sheet under non-current assets. So that is for 80%. What I did was I converted this 80% into 100%. So what I did was just 100 divided by 80% and multiplied by 100. So the answer is 125. So thereby the goodwill is the difference between these two. Price is 125, net assets is 115. So thereby goodwill is 10 rupees. Goodwill is 10 as per our calculation. So that's about the goodwill calculation. But how do, if you want to prepare the consolidated financial statement, what happens is you just combine the two columns. I think, you know, 290, it would be of course 290. Then the inventory would be 40 plus 30, 70. Trade receivable 30 plus 10, 40. Current account Gamma Limited 15. Current account Amal Limited 5. So thereby there is an intercompany set off. Under current liability, you say current. You will see the current account Amal PLC 5. You are setting off these two items, so the balance would be 10. So current account Gamma Limited appear in the consolidated balance sheet as 10 after setting off intercompany balances. Then the cash and cash equivalent, of course, 15 plus 12, 27. So that's about, then the goodwill has to be put into the balance sheet as 10. Then the stated capital 300, retained earning 80. So there is a adjustment because we have taken already 10. There is a 10, then so that would be coming under the retained earning. General reserve, of course, 0. Trade payable 32. Current account Amal PLC, 0 because we have eliminated. Okay, that is the way. But I just what I will do is I will just use an Excel sheet and just see we can share the Excel sheet also. Thank you. I will just do the correction on the Excel sheet. Hope that you all can see the now Excel sheet. Is it clear? Okay. Now we are preparing the consolidated financial statement for Amal PLC Group, Amal Group. We are writing Amal Group. Okay. Amal Group. Then we will write consolidated financial statement, asset, 31st March 2018. So that is the heading, consolidated financial statement. We put PPE, that is property, plant and equipment. Property, plant, equipment is 290. And if I am putting this is the group, I will just put other data also for your information. Group, this is Amal, and this is Gamma. Just for information, these additional 2 columns, Gamma. Here 200, here 90. That's in the question paper. And there is a call investment. That is, of course, here 100. That is not for total, it is for 80% as per the question. Then you have the current assets like inventory. Inventory, of course, here inventory is 40 in the first column of the question. Second one is 30. What we do is we just combine these two, that is 70. Then of course, in our calculation we had a goodwill, so we have to put goodwill also here. That is 10. Can you remember our answer? 10 goodwill. Then we have trade receivable. Trade receivable, of course, trade receivable is 30 and 10. Here 30, here 10. That's in the question. So altogether it's 40. We are just combining because we are controlling all these assets. Then the current account, really, we put its current account. Here it says current account gamma. I am just putting gamma. But here, you know, there is 15. But down under current liabilities, there is a current account balance in the gamma column 5. So thereby here it's get 10. You reduce intercompany balances. Then the cash, of course, so much. Here the cash is 15 and 12. So of course here it is 27. Then the current liability and liabilities and equity. So of course we put the equity. Equity is always, you know, stated capital. As per the question, stated capital SC. We take the main company, parent company stated capital only. Retain earnings. Of course, here you see 300 and 100. Sorry, 300 here and 100. Retain earning, of course, 80 and how much? 20. I'll do the calculation here, retain earning. Then the general reserve, of course, here 5. Then the trade payable. Trade payable, of course, 12 and 20 and 12. And current account again, current account, but here it says Amal. Here it's have 5. So what I did was, I think you can remember this this 15 and this 5. All these are called intercompany. So in Amal column it says that 15 is receivable from gamma. In the gamma column it says that 5 rupees payable to, you know, Amal. That's the idea. So thereby this 5 and this 5, we call it intercompany transaction. We eliminate. So thereby 15 minus 5, you get 10 rupees here. That's how you get the 10 rupees. Then here there is no balance, of course, because by 5 has already removed. I would say here the balance is 0 if you want. But here the balance is, you know, just combine 32. And you can't combine these equity balances as what we did in the normal way. If I am going further, I think you can remember in the goodwill calculation, we took state capital 100. Can you remember? And also retain earning. Retain earning we took 10, because question says that at the acquisition date it has that much of retain earnings. And also you know that general reserve at that time was really 5. If you look at this, the Amal gamma, really, normally in the balance sheet 100, as at 2000, you know, 18, and here we had it 20, and here we had it 5. So what I am trying to say that this is called pre-acquisition profit, pre-profit. So gamma at the before acquisition, at the point of acquisition, you had 100 stated capital, even though you have 20 at present, but at the acquisition date you had only retain earning 10. Here you have 5, but at the acquisition date you had the 5 same. So thereby we call it post how much? Here post acquisition capital is 0. And here 10. Still clear? Here it is 10. and here it is 0. Okay, so thereby this is called post acquisition profit. Now you see that is 10 total. Here it is 120, 115. And you can remember the acquisition price, I think 125 for 125 for not 80%, it is for 100%. It is for 100%, not for 80%. We convert 80% into, so thereby goodwill is 10. This 125 and this 115, the difference. That's what I did in the board, of course. So this goodwill will appear in the balance sheet. Here, goodwill. That is the goodwill. Now what we have to do is, we know when you acquire 80% of gamma, 20% is non-controlling. So thereby, you have to calculate the non-controlling interest. How do you calculate the non-controlling interest? Is this 100 and 20, which is this, and 5, which is this, and also goodwill is 10. So thereby altogether, total assets, I would say asset, total net assets, asset acquisition, asset balance sheet date is 135. So from 135, what you do is, you just calculate, from 135, you calculate 20%. 20%. You just get the 20%. That is, you know, of course, 27. So thereby, non-controlling interest here, we call it non-controlling interest. Non-controlling interest here is 27. And of course, you know, this 10 is post, which is our part. Our part means the group proportion is only 80%. So 80% means, I think, 8 rupees. You will agree. 80% means 8 rupees. So thereby, what we do is, here we put 88. So that's all. We'll see whether it's balancing. So thereby, total assets is so much. Total assets is 440, 47. Total equity and liabilities. Of course, 47. That's how you have to, part 2 balance sheet. They ask the consolidate balance sheet. That's the consolidate balance sheet. So what I just put these 2 columns for your additional information, which is given in the question. What I want to communicate to you is that when you prepare the consolidate, just combine the assets, all the assets. But there's a special item called goodwill. But if there are any other intercompany balances, you really write off and you take the difference. But when it comes to the capital or the net asset portion, there's a small adjustment. You have to divide it pre-profit and post-profit, and based on pre-profit you calculate the goodwill, and based on post-profit you take only your portion. Here you are taking only 80%, not the full percent, 80%. 80% අරගෙන මේ 10. But here remember, we have calculated the goodwill under full approach. Method 125, the full price, not 80%. Here the net assets for full 115, so goodwill is 10. That's all about 2017, and explain briefly the concept of non-controlling interest. Non-controlling interest means the minor shareholders, those who are not having the controlling power. That's non-controlling interest. Parent, of course, you know, parent is the a particular company who is having power over the investee. Subsidiary means the company which is controlled by the parent. That is subsidiary. That is about 2018. If you want 2019, I think same scenario. 2019 question paper. I'm just touching it now. 2019 April. If you have it, you can just. But names have changed. Here instead of Amal, here I have named it as Anil. Only minor matter. It's a simple matter. Name changing. Anil, and here I think it's Sunil. Yes, Sunil. Anil and Sunil. Here it's 100. Same pattern, there is no difference. Here it is 45. Here it is investment, of course, 20. Inventories 20 and 15. I'm just retyping. I'm just typing the question data, and 15 and 5. In intercompany, it says current account Sunil. Here, not the gamma. You know, we have a different name. Sunil. How much Sunil? There you have only 8. And cash equivalent 6 and 7. I'm sorry, 7 and 6. 7 and 6. Of course, you can check whether the balances are really balance sheet is tallying. Since I'm doing in Excel, it's easy for me. It's 170 and 71. We'll see the other one here. Not the 300 in the question paper. I'm doing 2019 one. 50. Here you have 50. Then 40 and 10. 40 and 10. Then of course here 5 is given, and 10 and 4. 10 and 4. And also here 2. So just to just see whether the balances, you know, figures are tallying by adding. We can take total. How do you take total? Yes. This is Kadune. 170, 40, 10. That's correct. 50, 10, 5, here 4. 171. That's a problem here. 100, 120. Hundred, 120, 140. Yeah, there's a small problem here in the calculation, I think, in the question. Yeah, I had to change this a little bit. We'll assume the figure here is not 200, here it is, say, 70. Yeah, it has to be 70. Now, here we'll assume that I think we change this at the examination also. Here 100, here 45, here I make it 70 because the question is not tallying, that's why I check it. Okay, not 20, really it has to be 70. Shall we do the calculation? I'm just reading, deleting it for you to, you can write it. Okay. So in this case, this Anil is acquiring 100% control, no 20, no 80%. In this case, investment is not 80%. Total. There are no non-controlling interest is 0. So what we do is very basically, shall we calculate the goodwill? එතකොට මේ column එකේ තියෙන data ටික පොඩ්ඩක් අපිට අයින් වෙනවායි කියලා අපි දන්නවනේ. නේද? අපි shall we calculate the goodwill? Here, as per the question, it says stated capital is 50. You put the 50 here. Here it's not Gamma, really. Here it is Sunil. You put 50 here because 50 capital is given. And here you get return earning 10. Here, of course, 5. Now you have to find out the acquisition date. Sorry. Acquisition date. Acquisition date is 2000. Same date. So the balance sheet date and the acquisition dates are same here in this question. Earlier it was little different. In our previous question, balance sheet date was here, but acquisition date was here, 2014. But in this scenario, you will see. Now here, can you remember in the previous question, the balance sheet date was here and the acquisition date was here. But in the present, our 2019 question, you have to remember acquisition date and balance sheet dates are both same. So thereby, whatever the capital you have, 50 and 10 and 5, all these net assets. 65. What is the investment? Investment is 70. Is it clear? So there is no difference between acquisition date and the balance sheet date. What I'm communicating you is that this 50, this 10, this 5 becomes obviously 3. There is no post acquisition. Post acquisitions are 0. Why? Dates, same dates we are talking. So thereby this column becomes no change. Same thing. So thereby here you get the 0. And you know investment is here. In this case, we change investment as 70, not 20. Can you remember investment? And here we have 65 total. So of course, the goodwill. This is the investment. And here the net assets. We call it net assets. So the goodwill is 5 rupees. See clear? Goodwill is 5 rupees. So thereby in this case, there is no non-controlling interest because Anil has acquired total equity of the business. So thereby non-controlling interest or minor shareholders, small shareholders, 0. So we'll just combine the items. Here 100 and 145. Of course, we have taken this to calculate the goodwill, thereby it is not coming into the group column. And inventory, of course, 35. Trade receivable 20. And current account Sunil 8. Here you can see current account Amal Anil. It has to be not Amal, it has to be Anil. No? We have changed the question. Anil. So thereby it is 2. Metana atai. When you set off, the balance remaining is 6. Here 30. So I think you can get the total assets. Total assets. That's 2,219. So how do you combine here? Stated capital, we take only the principal or the parent company capital. We are not taking this because we have already considered here this. And we have considered this 10 also in calculating goodwill. So thereby we take only 40. We have already considered this 5. We are not taking it. It's 0. And here it is 14. We have considered this one. So thereby that's our balance sheet, the liabilities. Okay, so you just get the total. Total would be around 220. We have to put the goodwill also here. We didn't put the goodwill. We put the goodwill. So then the balance is, because this goodwill has to be, you know, in the assets. So thereby it's tallying with 224. Remember, in this case, non-controlling interest is 0. Why it is 0? Because Anil has acquired 100% shares of Sunil. That is the reason. And also in this question, acquisition date and the balance sheet dates are same. So thereby we just take all the reserves, all the stated capital as pre-profit, not the post. So thereby post profit in this case is 0. Not like earlier case. Earlier case, there was a difference between balance sheet date and the acquisition date. In this case, there is no difference between acquisition date and the balance sheet date. So that's about answer for these two questions. I think you can write the rest part, what is control and what is
Excuse me, sir.
any question?
I have calculated this in different.
Sorry?
I calculated this problem using a different way. Instead of increasing investment to 70, I put property, plant and equipment to 50 to get the balance, and then I get a negative goodwill and I added it to the equity side. Is it okay?
That's right, correct. Now I'll take that part also. Very good, reminding me. If I don't know, I can't remember how I changed the scenario at the examination, but anyway, you can remember in the original question, it is not 70, it is 20. It is 20. If it is 20, our balance sheet is really not balancing the Anil column. 50 rupees is not missing. So if you add here 50, it would be 150, I think. Or you can reduce this the liabilities, whatever. You can reduce liabilities also by 50. Then again you get the same amount. But what I did was I increase PPE. Then of course this would become 195. No problem, 195. But in that, if that is the case, your here answer has to be not 70, as you know, it has to be original value 20. Then you know that this is 20 and net assets 65. So thereby there would be a 45 negative goodwill. This is called purchasing bargaining power. 45 negative goodwill. So what you have to do is, if there is a negative goodwill, how do you get the negative goodwill? Net asset is more than the price you paid. But earlier case it was different. And investment value was more than the net assets. Now in this case, net assets is more, investment is less, thereby you will end up with 45 negative goodwill. If there is a negative goodwill, the recommendation is immediately you have to write off. So thereby you have to reduce it from equity. When you reduce it from equity, this 45, of course, you will end up with negative 5. You will end up with negative 5. So that way you have to do it. It's really goodwill, a negative goodwill. It's not, I'm sorry, negative goodwill is 45, that's true. But what do you call your return earning would be 85. Not I'm sorry. So what you do is negative goodwill, you will add it to the return earning, not deduct. Negative goodwill has to be added to the return earning, thereby it will become 85. 85 එන්නේ මේ 40ට මේ 45 එකතු කරනවා. මේ 40ට මේ 45 එකතු කරනවා. That is the idea. Immediately you charge to the return earning. So I think that's, if there is a negative goodwill, what you have to do is, instead of putting as goodwill, you bring that value to this one here. If it is a positive goodwill here, if it is negative goodwill, what you have to put it here. එතන අපි දාන මෙතන නෙගටිව් goodwill කියලා. මම මේ ටෙක්නිකලි මේක එන හැටි කියනවා. නෙගටිව් goodwill. දැන් නෙගටිව් goodwill එක අපට ආවේ මෙතන තියෙන්නේ අපේ කලින් තුනේ 40මනේ එන්නේ. එතන නෙගටිව් goodwill එක 45 එනවා. That's how you prepare the final account. Remember, if it is positive goodwill, you put here. But this question, if you assume your investment is 20 rupees, you will get a negative risk goodwill, thereby you can't put it here. What we have to do is, you have to put the other side of the balance sheet here, 45. Now the thing is that when you refer to the standard, accounting standards, if there is a negative goodwill, we are not showing it separately. මෙහෙම දාන්නේ නැහැ අපි. අපි කරන්නේ මොකද්ද? ඒක මේකට එකතු කරන්න කියලා නිර්දේශ කරලා තියෙන නිසා එතෙන්ට එකතු කරනවා. එහෙම. එතෙන්ට එන්නේ එහෙම. මෙතෙන්ට අපි negative goodwill කියලා පෙන්නන්නේ නැහැ as per the standard. Is it clear? So that's about if there is a negative goodwill. I think with that I will conclude discussion of past two past papers, and one more notice. I think you can remember your assignment, group assignment. I hope that you can remember your group assignment. Your group assignment, you need to complete it and hand it over to the IBSL office. You have to contact, I don't know how if you can come, yes, you can hand over. A deadline is really, I would say, when the exam is, I don't know the exam date, but when the exam is starting, you have to submit the exam date. Submission date is whatever the dates, examination date. Because I have to issue the marks also very quickly, so thereby you have to submit the assignments on examination date. Okay, I have given little more time for you, rather than telling 3 weeks, 2 weeks, but I am giving you the maximum I can give. That is the submission date. Then with that, what we'll do is we will just discuss the handout of the today's handout. What I will do is I will discuss this the contemporary issues in contemporary performance measurement, purpose of performance measurements. Measurement, if you couldn't measure anything, if you are not measuring anything, you can't manage. So thereby measurement is important in this particular case. Okay. Problem with conventional performance, I have discussed with you, I think problem conventional, they are not actionable. When you say certain indicators say my profit is so much, my ROE, return on investment, is so much, I don't think it is actionable. But when you say there are 10 customer complaints, 10% defects in our factory, then it says something for you to take action. So thereby, one particular issue in the conventional financial performance measures, conventional means all financial database measurements, maybe profit, maybe return on investment, maybe asset turnover. I think you can remember we discussed different type of ratios. So those are conventional. So they are not actionable. But when you say that there are 5 customer complaints and customers are dissatisfied and you are unable to deliver on time, පොරොන්දු දිනට දී ගන්න බැරි වුණා, those are actionable. Number of defects, actionable. Number of new ideas, පහුගිය අවුරුදු 20ම අලුත් ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එකක් අපි හදලා නැහැ, actionable. Financial measures emphasize only one perspective. They focus us on financial perspective. Financial performance measures provide limited guidance for future actions. Financial performance වල තියෙන්නේ history data. So thereby history will not repeat future. There is no link between there is a link between history and future, but the thing is history will not be repeated in this dynamic, globalized, highly technological oriented environment. I don't think that history will be repeated. So thereby, in that sense also, in that perspective also, we are criticizing financial performance measure. May encourage action which decrease both shareholder and customer value. So thereby, this in certain cases, it's not really focusing on the shareholder and the customer value. I think shareholder value. Shareholder value means share price. Customer perceptions. Because financial performance measurements are short term. අපි කතා කරන්නේ අවුරුද්දක ලාභය, මාසික ලාභය, මාස 6 ලාභය, පහුගිය මාස 3 ලාභය, පහුගිය මාස 3 growth එක, පහුගිය අවුරුද්දේ growth එක. So those financial measures are short term. So thereby, since they are short term, since they are narrow focus, since they are calculated based on certain assumptions and principles, those measurements really do not provide us a helicopter view. Those measurements, conventional financial performance measures, are not providing helicopter view. So thereby, there is a tendency of decrease in both shareholder and customer value. So thereby, we are criticizing financial performance based measurements. Contemporary measurement system include non-financial and financial measures. When you say contemporary, the latest new measurements include both financial and non-financial. So thereby, you are looking at the organization from different perspective, not one perspective, not only financial perspective. You may look at from the customer perspective. You may look at from the employee perspective. You may look at from the processing, the processors perspective. You may look at the business from competitors perspective. You may look at the business from market perspective. So thereby, non-financial and financial measurements will help us to bring different perspective, different way of measuring performance. Have a strategic orientation. Directly measure areas that provide competitive advantage. You know, when you look at traditional, conventional profit-related measurements, simply accounting ratios or other accounting data, they are not strategic orientation. Why strategic orientation? When you say strategic orientation, you have to look at outside your business, not internal. You have to look at your competitors, how competitors are performing, what are competitors' strategies, what are their cost structures, how do they add value, what is our market, what is their expectation. So likewise, you know, outside the business, there are valuable information. So thereby, when you look at the financial traditional measurements, you are not looking at outside the business. So thereby, we call it the informations based on traditional management measurement techniques are not strategic oriented. If you want to be strategic orientation, so you have to have a outward orientation, external orientation. Thereby, then only you can think about designing methods, strategies, tactics to get competitive advantage. You know the meaning of competitive advantage. Meaning of competitive advantage is really being better than the others, ability to, you know, compete, additional power, additional benefits. The strength which others are not having is called competitive advantage. But if you say certain cases, being a first mover to the market, to the industry, will have a competitive advantage. We know that, for example, government banks. I think one reason may be they are the first banker, the banks really, which was really, you know, reach public. So thereby first mover. Competitive advantage, maybe location, maybe your employees, maybe your technology. Those are, you know, compared to, but when you say competitive advantage, it has to be sustainable. Again, Anita copy competitive advantage. If we are losing the competitive advantage, I think it's not good. Is it clear? Competitive advantage. Use external benchmark. Use external benchmark. External benchmark means you are not just looking at internal standards. You are just going out and find out the best performer, the best practice. Then you try to implement those practices in your organization also. That's called use external benchmark. But when you use the external benchmark, no need to be a similar or the competitor. Even you can find out dissimilar, a non-competitor, and find out their practices and incorporate those practices to your organization. For example, it may be customer relation marketing, CRM, or social responsibility, or your internal business process, frontline operations. So you can take one particular area of your operation and find out the best in the world, maybe in local, maybe international. You find the best in the world and you try to introduce those practices, those standards for your business. That's called external benchmarks. We are not just focusing our industry. We are not just focusing our bank, our institutions. We just go around and search the best practice related to a particular process. Take a loan given වෙන්න පුළුවන්, office වැඩකට වෙන්න පුළුවන්, customer service එකට වෙන්න පුළුවන්, anything. Right. Emphasis continuous improvement. Now, this is very important. Now, අර කතාවකුත් තියෙනවනේ අදට වඩා හෙට හොඳයි කියලා. That's the meaning of continuous improvement. When you say continuous improvement, you accept
Sir,
that.
can you share the note screen, please?
Sorry, I'm sharing it.
Can you share the note screen, please? Okay, but I unable to get it.
Can you see the slide? Hello?
Yeah, I'll check.
Just see whether you can see it. I think I am sharing it.
We can't see, sir.
Oh my God.
Still, we can see the Excel sheet.
All right. Wait. Now?
Still not.
All right. I'll do. Wait. I had to stop. I think. Yeah. Wait.
Sir, note screen not available. The Excel sheet only available.
All right. I'll make it available. No problem. I think I will do it. Don't worry. Thank you for reminding me. Can you see now? Hello? Can you see now?
Yes, sir. We
Now
can
it's
see.
okay, no? Right. Okay. I hope that you can see
Yes,
it now. What I did was I discussed the problem with conventional financial performance measurements. I said they are not actionable. Financial measures emphasis only one perspective. Financial performance measurements provide limited guidance for future actions. May encourage action with decrease both shareholder customer value. Those things I explained. So conventional means traditional, which are focused on financial data. You know, financial data means rupees and cents, profit figures and the assets story. Those data are not actionable. I took example. You know, it measures only one perspective and it provides limited guidance for future action because those data are based on historical data. Then also may encourage, you know, decrease both shareholder and customer value. Next, what I was explaining to you really include non-financial. When you say contemporary, that opposite of conventional is contemporary performance measurement system. So it includes both financial and non-financial. So thereby it facilitates for us to bring different perspective, different way of measuring performance. Have a strategic orientation. You know the meaning of strategic orientation. When you say strategic orientation, always outward focus, external orientations. You look at what others are doing. You look at what customers needs and you really predict what their needs. Something. So you just do a lot of changes inside your organization by understanding the external environment. You are getting ready for the future. You change your products. That's called strategic orientation. But just by focusing internal data, just by focusing on rupees and cents, I don't think that you can be strategic oriented in a competitive, dynamic, globalized environment. That I explained. Then the use external benchmark means you go outside of your organization. In certain cases you may go outside from your industry even, and you may find out the best in the world in a particular area. Maybe, as I told you, customer service, maybe one area. So you may find out the best in the world. So you try to adopt their standards and practices in your organization. Then the emphasis on continuous improvement. What I want to communicate to you under this continuous improvement, you are not accepting today's business practices. You don't accept yesterday's practices. We believe that current practices are inefficient, so thereby we need to improve those practices. So we encourage innovation, creativity, empowering people, identifying non-value adding activities, eliminating them, change in business environment, looking at different perspective, out of box story. So those are continuous improvement. What I want to communicate you is that when you look at the contemporary contemporary performance measurements, really measurement systems or system has these characteristics, both financial and financial, strategic orientation, external benchmark, and emphasis on continuous improvement. So we get customer feedback, we get customer satisfaction, we get customer complaint. For what? To improve. We just measure our number of reject or the defects. Why? We want to improve the quality of the product. That's why our intention is to improve. But when you say the profit or whatever, this thing, it's a little bit non-actionable. That's the idea. Anyway, you know the meaning of contemporary performance measurement system, characteristic of contemporary performance measurement system. Okay. Then non-financial measures for operational control. Non-financial measures reflect drivers of future financial performance. Here, the non-financial measurements reflect the drivers for future financial performance. For example, improvement will flow through to financial performance. So when you improve the non-financial measures, obviously your financial performance okay. When you improve the customer service, when you reduce the setup time, when you eliminate non-value adding activities, when you reduce the number of defects, when you ensure the on-time delivery. So all these matters really help you to attract new customers and helps you to really bring new customers, plus to keep the existing customers. And also you are using resources in an efficient manner. What happened? The financial performance at the end increase. More actionable, easier to investigate the sources of low performance compared to the low cost variance. So you can when you say cost variance, you may compare budgeted admin expense, budgeted distribution cost with the actual distribution with the actual admin. Suppose there is a variance, negative variance. So how can you find out where is the problem? Administration cost api rupial 100යි plan කරේ 150කට end up වෙලා තියෙනවා. We don't know where is the problem. We need to have a further analysis. Admin cost එකත් එහෙනම් අපි break up ගන්න ඕන. Value chain එක දිහා බලන්න වෙනවා. ඒ නිසා ඒවා පොඩි ගැටලු තියෙනවා කියන එක තමයි. ඒ නිසා මේවා more actionable non-financial measures. More understandable and easier to relate to particular at the operation level. Hari lazy තේරුම් ගන්න. More understandable. Even a non-technical person can understand number of customers, number of defects. Hari lazy තේරුම් ගන්න. But when you say net present value or the IRR, cost of capital, those are technical matters which are really difficult to understand for a non-finance person. Anyway, customer satisfaction, as I told you, I think that most of the businesses, they focus on customer satisfaction. The banks unat ඉස්සරහා තියෙනවානේ stars දාලා අපිට press කරන්න කියන්න මොකද්ද කියලා. Defects measures, quality, periodic inspection of testing products. So I'm not going to take much more time on this. So customer satisfaction, defects measures, quality. Those are non-financial measures for operational control. So you can think about in your bank also, even you are a service provider, you may have non-financial measures, customer satisfactions, defect measures. Here the defect measures means not the physical item in you. Maybe time taken to disburse a particular loan, or maybe a customer is coming and the waiting time of the customer to get the particular service. අපි තුමයාගේ රත්තරන් බඩුවක් ගස් තියලා එයා ඒක බේර ගන්නාම කොච්චර වෙලාවක් ඉන්නවද? ආපසු යන්න වුණාද එයාට මොකක් හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නිසා? Defect measures, the quality periodic inspections of or testing of product. Okay, non-financial measures for operational control. Then one is other factor is productivity. We are discussing these measures. Customer satisfaction is a non-financial measurement. Defect measures, non-financial measurements. Quality matters. Quality measures are also non-financial, and productivity also non-financial. The ratio of output produced per unit of input. Api karane mokadda? Number of units produced bedanawa number of direct labor hours. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි number of units produced bedanawa cost of all inputs to production. දැන් උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පුළුවන් බැංකුවේ loan disbursed per a particular period divide by number of employees. එතකොට කෙනෙක් විසින් දෙන loan එක පිළිබඳව අදහසක් එනෝනේ. ඒ විදිහට you can calculate different productivity ratios. When you say productivity, you compare the resources with the output. දැන් මෙතන තියෙන උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් මෙතන යට තියෙන labor කියලා කියන්නේ resources, units of produce කියලා කියන්නේ unit produce කියලා කියන්නේ output. Number of unit produce කියලා කියන්නේ output එක, cost of all inputs කියලා කියන්නේ resources. So when you look at the productivity, you always compare the relationship between output and the input. Input is really resources. Output is what you expected, what the customer expects at least. No, so thereby productivity ratios are there. Then non-financial measures for operational control, stock status. Of course, I don't think that this is applicable for a service-oriented, but even so, service-oriented organization, there may be stocks which are on hand, not yet completed. Audit firm, when you take an audit firm, consultancy firm, research firm, they may have stock status, but not like physical items. I think you will get my idea. The workload which has been undertaken, but not yet completed. So such stock can be really status can be discussed under the service-oriented organization, but the stock status more applicable to the manufacturing organization. Then the accident report, safety statistics, very important. This accident report is not only relevant for manufacturing, but even service. When you are working on a computer, your eye issues, maybe office layout. The samahara putu employees lata accommodate කරන්න තියෙන ward line දෙන පුටු වල තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න නිසා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ වෙන කොන්දේ අමාරුව. They might, so those kind of things important. The computer operators නනම් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ඇඟිලි තුඩු වල skill එක පාවිච්චි කරනකොට ඒවා. So those also covered under the accident report. Even I would say this is much more relevant for the manufacturing setup, this accident report, safety statistics. Multi-skilling, number of employees who have attained skills to allow them to undertake a range of operational tasks. Multi-skilling, ability to work anywhere in the organization, any division in the organization, any job, multi as skills. Do we have such employees? Multi-skilling, have we spent on them? Have we provide training for them? Is our organization really, are we ready? Are we creating appropriate organization structure so as to get multi-skill for people? Teamwork, maybe one issue, one criteria. So multi-skilling. Machine downtime, number of hours, machine downtime, breakdown time, repairing time, maintenance time, machine downtime, delivery on time, prompt delivery to customers is an important driver of customer value. I think මේවා service oriented business වල මේ delivery on time කියන එක මම හිතන්නේ ටිකක් manufacturing also important in manufacturing sector, but in service oriented, especially the when you think about the Uber and Uber Eat, those delivery on time, in the hotel, airline, these are much more important. Right. Anyway, I have discussed few items under non-financial measures: customer satisfaction, defect measures, quality, productivity, stock status, accident report, multi-skilling, machine downtime, delivery on time, etc. The problem with non-financial performance, even though we highlight, we appreciate, we are really arguing that non-financial performance measurements are better than the conventional or the financial measurements, there are certain difficulties, certain problems there are. So we are going to discuss in this slide those difficulties or problems. The problem with non-financial form measurements: wide choice of non-financial measure available. Wide choice. සීමාවක් නැහැ. Standard එකක් නැහැ. There are so many items. Development can be ad hoc and undirected. Ad hoc, undirected, not reliable. Managers must necessarily make trade-off between achieving some measures and not others. So you have to sacrifice certain other things. When you try to satisfy the customers, it takes time. Then loan එකක් ගත්ත customer කෙනෙකුට difficult customer කෙනෙකුට recover කරන්න, when you are calling the customer, I don't think it's easy. You have to maybe your boss, your superior might given 100 customers per day. You have to talk to 100 customers. But if you are just talking to the customer, put the message and just keep the phone, then you can cover the 100 customers. But if you are talking to the customer so as to establish a good relationship, just to satisfy the customer, I think you need more time. So thereby number of calls you have to sacrifice. Maybe you may end up with 60 calls, not the 100. එතකොට 100 ගන්න 60 contact with 60 customers. What about the 40? Something like that. So always when you do non-financial measurements, it's very difficult and trade-off is there. Some measures lack integrity. අවංකභාවය නැති වුණාම වැරදි data, reliable නැති data create කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා question එකක් එනවා. There is a question with regard accuracy of data and opportunity for manipulation. There is opportunity for manipulations. But in certain cases, if you can use the IT just to get the feedback from customers and just to ERP based measurements, then of course in certain cases accuracy is there, difficult to manipulate. Okay, some measures are not easily translated into financial outcomes. Then we'll talk about a strategic performance measurement system. Translate strategy into an integrated set of financial and non-financial measures across the range of perspective. Example include balance scorecard, performance prison, and intangible asset scorecard. Now, when you look at this strategic performance measurement system, what they did was really in 1980s and 1990s, the traditional financial management criticized heavily. Researchers, practitioners, and academics criticized the traditional way of measuring performance. In 1980s, what happened was different practitioners, for example, Kaplan, different consultants and academic researchers, they really develop new measurements system. Three examples given in this new measurement system: balance scorecard, which is the most popular measurement system in the world, balance scorecard. Then the performance prism, another model to measure the performance. Intangible asset scorecard. But I'm not going to discuss all these three model. I will be basically touching the balance scorecard. All provide the potential to identify cause and effect relationship between a variety of measures and the financial performance of the organization's strategies. Whatever the method model, whether it is balance scorecard, whether it is performance prism, whether it is intangible asset scorecard, whatever, all provide potential cause and effects relationship. So they are trying to identify cause and effect relationship and the financial performance of the organization's strategies. So there is a link between financial performance and strategies. You have to remember, when you talk about the cause and effect, especially the word here, the cause and effect, you can't just identify the cause and effect for a overall data. If the data is in aggregate, if the data is in non-descriptive manner, no breakups there, very difficult to find out the cause and effect. So thereby, wherever the data, if you are really dividing into different segments, if you are breaking into different parts, then only you can identify the cause and effect very clearly. So thereby, you have to remember this strategic performance measurement systems are much more focus on collecting data for small, I would say, events. I would say for those measurement systems are much more comprehensive. I would say comprehensive, the word. So more comprehensive, more descriptive than the financial data. Okay. Then only you can identify the cause and effect very clearly. When you take about the balance scorecard, measuring performance with the balance scorecard approach, a performance measurement system that identifies and reports on performance measures for each key strategic areas of the business. A performance measurement system that identifies and reports performance for each key strategic areas of the business. Now you will see the balance scorecard is focusing on different strategies, or I would say key strategic areas and their performance. So thereby, when you say the word balanced scorecard, meaning is that you are looking at the performance from different perspectives, from different key strategic perspective. So that is so this particular model was developed by really Kaplan and Norton. Model translate an organization mission strategies into objective and performance measurements. So they didn't just started measuring performance. You have to remember, they talk about missions of organization. They talk about strategies, objectives. So based on that, they just identify appropriate measurements to see whether particular objectives or particular strategies or missions being really achieved. In other words, in the balance scorecard, what they are trying to do is they are trying to ensure that business is really directing towards the selected, desired strategic direction. That is the purpose. So any organization, you know that there is a corporate plan, they have a particular set of objectives, strategies, and the management, the board or the whatever the council of the organization is really trying to put the organization in the direction of the business desired direction. So balance scorecard is always linking all these matters and try to ensure that the particular business really achieving desired objectives or the missions. So it has four perspective, you know, a financial perspective, customer perspective, an internal business process perspective, and learning and growth perspective. There are four perspectives: financial, customer, internal business process perspective, and learning and growth perspective. We will have a small break, 5-minute break. Now time is 2:47. I'll come at 3 o'clock and finish it up. Today is the last session. I think tomorrow, next week we don't have lectures. With this particular topic title, I am going to end up the course. So I will meet you at 3 o'clock. Give me a little rest. Performance measurements, target ඇති කරගන්න ඕන. Select the benchmark partner, data collection and analysis, establish performance goal, implement plan. That is the benchmarking process. You have to identify what areas to be benchmarked. Then you have to identify the standard. The standard means the selected. You have to select the benchmarking partner, the best the performer in the world, in the field. Or so you have to find out a partner, good partner. Now you are going to convert your business or the product or whatever activity to the level of business partner. Business partner level එකට ගේන්න තමයි වැඩ කරන්නේ. So you have to collect data. Data collection is important, both internal and external. You have to analyze, then establish performance goal. අපි පළවෙනි අවුරුද්දේ උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් facility එකක් loan එකක් දෙන්න ගන්න කාලය පැය 3යි, 3 hours. තව අවුරුද්දෙන් අපි 2 hours වලට ගියනවා. Likewise, you may think about goals of benchmarking. Then you have to implement and plan. There are different type of benchmarking, of course. Internal benchmarking, you just think about your organization. Internal benchmark. අපි අල්ලපු branch එකේ කරන විදිහට කරන්න බලන්න. එහා පැත්තේ division එකේ කරන දේවල් අපි කරන්න බලන්න. Benchmarking operation that are internal to the larger business group. අපේ group එකේ ඇතුලේ කොහේ හරි තැනක හොඳ වැඩක් කරනවා ඒක අපි copy කරන්න බලනවා. Internal. Benchmarking is really, of course, copying others. Benchmarking means basically copying others, but best practices. You can do it internally. Competitive benchmarking means benchmarking with companies in the same industry. We are trying to achieve our major competitors level. We are trying to perform in that level. Our branch, our operation, our activities, our processes, something like that. Then the industry benchmarking, of course, against companies that have similar interests and technologies within the industry. Industry benchmark means companies that are similar interests and technologies. තාක්ෂණය අතින් සමාන, ටෙක්නොලොජි එක අතින් සමාන ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකක් තමයි benchmark කරන්න පුළුවන්. Best in class and processing benchmark. අර මං කලින් කිව්වා වගේ, you can find the best in the industry, any industry. So there are 4 types of benchmarking. Benchmarking means copying. Very simply, idea is copy. Internal benchmarking, competitive benchmarking, industry benchmarking, and best in the world or in class. Really, we call it process benchmarking. Warning signs of an inadequate inadequate performance measurement system. How does a firm know when its performance measurement system is inadequate? Performance is acceptable on all dimensions except profit. Customers do not buy product even when prices are competitive. Managers are not concerned when performance reports are not supplied. Significant time is spent on debating the meaning of measures. Measures have not changed for some time. The business strategy has changed. And you have to remember these points. I would say these indicators communicate you that performance measurement system is not enough in your organization. First one is performance is acceptable on all dimensions except profit. Profit එකෙන් හර අනිත් ඒවා measure කරාට අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. Profit එකම measure කරන්න වෙනවා. Customers la buy කරන්නේ නැහැ product even when prices are competitive. කොහේ හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක්. Managers are not concerned when performance reports are not supplied. When reports are supplied, they are not concerned. Significant time is spent on debating the meaning of measures, and measures have not changed for some time. ආදි කාලේ පාවිච්චි කර measurements අපේ තාම not changed. Last one is much more important. The business strategy has changed. Like what I explained, Rami's system, Inland Revenue Department, they have changed. When they have changed, they use the same rewarding, same performance system, which is not really matching with the new context, new environment. So thereby, if you want to run your organization in an effective manner, in a fruitful manner, to get the strategic direction, what I would say is there should be an adequate performance measurement system to get the helicopter view. My word is helicopter view. Designing an effective performance measurement system linked to strategy and goals of the organization. Encourage goal congruence. I think you can remember the strategy and goal of the organization. Earlier case a bus company, 40ක් market share එක ගන්න හැදුවේ ඒකට. You can remember that. Encourage goal congruence. What is goal congruence? Goal congruence means when you have different divisions, different departments, we all should work towards one direction. If we as our organization, we different department, if they are focusing on different directions, I don't think that overall objectives can be achieved. You can't achieve the overall objective if your organizations, different divisions, branch working on different directions. That is called lack of goal congruence. Goal congruence means achieving, we are focusing one direction. For example, say a particular group, even take Bank of Ceylon, it has some subsidiaries and associate companies. If you take some other organization, People's Bank, whatever, I think most of the bank now, they have their own subsidiaries. At least finance companies, airline, what they call this, travel agent, leasing. Likewise, they might have different subsidiaries. If you take Haley's Group, many business, LG, they have many businesses under LG. General Motors, they have many number of this thing. You can remember the Selinco Group, Selinco Deshaman Lalit Kotula, he told that he had 42 companies. So in such situation, if a particular group having money businesses, we need to ensure that all businesses are working towards the corporate direction. So that is called goal congruence. What is goal congruence? Working towards one direction is called goal congruence. Lack of goal congruence means it's not there. Keep it simple. Measures should be understandable. Measures should be understandable and easy to communicate with employees. Your measurement should be much more simple, not complex. Recognize controllability. Responsibility for achieving measures should relate to the activities and processes which employee can control. So whatever the measures, by looking at these measures, you should be in a position to control your business operation. By looking at the measures, you should be in a position to control your employees. By looking at the figures, you should be in a position to control your processes. By looking at the measures, you should be in a position to control your machines. By looking at the figures, you should be in a position to control your technology. Whatever the resource you use in your business can be controlled by looking at the measures. So thereby, recognize controllability. The controllability is the main characteristic of your measurements. I have discussed 3. Your measurement has to be linked with strategy, linked to strategy and goals. It has to be simple, then controllability. Emphasize the positive. What do you mean by that? Emphasize the positive. Meaning is that measurements are there not to punish people. Measurements are there to improve your process. Measurements are there to, support to, achieve the objective. Measurements are there to help the employees. Measurements are there to perform efficiently. Measurements are there to use resources efficiently. That is the emphasis, the positive. Not to send any employee home, not to punish any employee, not to really put down people, but controls are there to motivate people, eliminate non-value adding resources, reduce wastage. Likewise, you have to look at the performance in a positive way. Be timely. Measurements report as close to the possible to the period to which they relate. Timing is important. Customer satisfaction customer satisfaction so timing report is important. So what are the key characteristics of effective performance measurement system? Strategy and goals are interconnected. Measurement should be much more simple. Measurement should facilitate the controllability. Measurement is there. We are really looking at the measurements in a positive way, and also measurements information we need to provide on time, timely, right? Then further relate to benchmarking. So we need to have measurements, and also we should relate this measurement to our benchmark standards. Embrace participation and empowerment. තාමත් වැදගත් එක තමයි දෙන්න මේ කාරණය. කිසිම දෙයක් you can't implement anything in your organization without getting the participations, involvement of your employees. So thereby, measurement system should really encourage. Measurement should really motivate. Measurement system really should promote participations and empowerment of employees. Include only a few performance, not much more. Rules of thumb is that no person should be responsible for more than 4 or 5 measures. Only to add measurements, very difficult to manage, very difficult to look after. It's a complex then. So thereby, just limit performance into 4 or 5. Link to rewards. Your measurements, performance should link to reward, then only motivate people. So what my Ramis case, R&D story So we are focusing research on our RMS nowadays. Based on this interviews and discussions and our observation, the reward system is not really matching with the performance of employees of R&D. Designing measures for continuous improvement. Continuous improvement can be built into performance measurements and systems by selecting relevant performance targets that focuses on problem area and moving other measures when performance has improved. දැන් අපි මෙතන කියන්නේ performance measurements. When you measure the performance, mere measuring is not enough. Idea by using these slides, what we are trying to communicate to you is that just mere performance, just measuring performance is not enough. We have to use it to correct our mistake, inefficiencies. We should use measurements information, performance measurement information to improve the processes. We call it continuous improvement. So thereby you need to compare your targets and actual results. So you have to compare both, and you have to understand, you have to select only important variances, not all. Selecting relevant performance targets, that's the idea. Just like management by exceptional. Management by exceptional means only major variances we will consider. We can't consider all the variances, even minor. We will consider major. Defining and redefine the measures to provide scope for improvement and increase the challenge. Define and redefine. Continuous attention on measurements and changing if required. Making the performance targets more challenging by making the performance targets more difficult over time. So you have to make targets, performance indicators, little bit KPIs, little bit challengeable, not easy. If KPIs are, if measurements are easily achievable, I don't think there is a improvement. So thereby, always you need to set targets so as to challenge, so as to make it difficult, challengeable for employees. Behavior indicators for change in performance measurements. Resistant to change may be more likely when individuals consider targets unfair and unachievable. Individual rewards are affected by changes. Resistant to change. අලුත් දෙයක් කරන්න යනකොට කොහෙත් අකමැති. That is the nature of the people. Change are most likely to succeed if they are supported across the entire organization. Bottom-up approach are included. New measures should not be seen as an add-on to an inadequate performance measurement system. අපි ආයතනය තුළ when you are trying to establish new performance indicators, one is resistance from employees, maybe trade union, maybe individual branch department, maybe powerful people. Resistance. And also you have to get the entire organization support. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ change එක කරන්න බෑ. එහෙම නැත්නම් measurement indicate කරන්න බෑ. ඒක නිසා තමයි කියන්නේ bottom up approach. යට ඉඳන් යට සේවකයන්ගේ සහයෝගය අරගෙන ඒ යට ඉඳගෙන මේක ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න කියන කාරණේ තමයි තෙන් කියන්නේ. So behavioral indicator. මේක ඉතාමත් important. Behavioral implications. You have to get the whole entire organization support when you are introducing a new performance system. I think with this we are just finishing the today's topic. So with this, as I told you, we will end up with we will finish the course. So you will be informed in future the exam date. On the exam date, you have to submit your assignment, and also you have to ready for the question paper. I think almost question paper is will be much more similar to 2019 one. But certain areas, if we are not covered, don't worry. Those areas will not appear. I think financial instrument I didn't discuss with you. Financial instrument story. But all others will be, therefore it will be almost similar to 2019 paper. Any question? Hello. Any question you want to raise? What I'm telling you is that I have now finished the session, and I just want to have your any question. If you have, you just you can ask now. Otherwise, I will stop.
So is it exam is tested by capital, not budgeting lesson?
Yeah, budgeting also. There will be a question budgeting. Last time also you had a question on budgeting, no? Just to explain.
No, last time not question in budgeting.
Yeah, but there is a theoretical question: participate budgeting approach and incremental budgeting. Yeah, not a question, not a sum really. But question paper will be mostly similar to the last time. Any question? Any other question? Basically, first question would be group accounts. Then second question is something like given in the 19. Then you will get a separate question for time value of money. So likewise, 5 questions will be there. Please practice the last 2 question papers, then no problem, I think.
So will we have discount factor tables in the exam?
Yeah, paper itself, you will get the discounting factor table. Don't worry. You will get the discounting table attached to the paper, enclosed with the paper. Three-hour paper. Question paper is easy, I think. All the cases, don't worry. You just. Then shall I wind up? Any other question? But the exam date is not yet announced, I think. They will announce the exam date very recently, I think. Okay then. Thank you very much for participating in today's session also. Okay, all the best.